My name is Bernardo Villafañe. I'm an LCSW. I'm a psychotherapist, and my specialty is working with the male batterer, perpetrators of domestic violence. A pattern of behavior which is meant to control the woman in order to change her sense of self, meaning her identity, her behavior that the male batterer cannot tolerate. So basically, it's a pattern of behavior meant to control the woman through his power, and the only way you can control anybody through the power is to use abuse. Domestic violence starts pretty much slowly and gradually, so the woman doesn't notice it. The guy comes on like a whirlwind. He's polite, he's very affectionate, but little by little, as he gets used to the relationship and as she gets used to him, he does subtle things. And the example I always give is domestic violence starts with the word shut up. The guy's talking to the woman months into the relationship. All right, I heard you. All right, I heard you. You know, days passes. I heard you already. You know, just shut up. Shut up. Shut the f up. And from there, it just escalates. So it starts with a little attitude, verbal abuse, and then it escalates to the other 5 forms of abuse, which consist of emotional abuse, psychological abuse, sexual abuse, economic abuse, and of course, physical abuse. And where he starts showing frustration more easily, and the frustration will lead to some behavior where the woman gets offended, hurt, but yet she takes it as normal because basically there are too many relationships where offensive words are used or attitudes. There's many reasons why people say men abuse. One is they have anger management problems, but if you have an anger management problem, then you should have the same problem with everybody, anybody. Where you came from, your environment is violent, or your country was violent, is male entitlement and male privilege, because he's a man and the woman is more submissive or should be more submissive. So basically, because I said so. Because I said so. The sense of entitlement comes in because after a while in the relationship, the man expects that the woman should keep giving him the happiness or the honeymoon stage with which they started. And because he cannot tolerate not getting what he wants, the frustration builds in order to control her so she can give him what he needs. And when he doesn't get what he needs and he gets frustrated and abusive, then he blames her. Well, statistically, 95% of all domestic violence cases are the men perpetrating the abuse towards the woman. Supposedly there's 5% of cases where the woman's abusing the man. But in those cases, it could be because she's defending herself from the expected abuse that she's already anticipating based on past behaviors with him, or it could be that she's really was born and raised in an environment where aggression and abuse was common. Once a man starts abusing, it becomes a pattern, which was the original definition. So the pattern is not going to be broken until first he realizes there is a problem. Second, he has to learn new behaviors, because you can't tell somebody, hey, stop abusing without teaching them how to. And more importantly, above all, he needs to change his belief system. If he believes that the woman is inferior, if he believes he should be able to talk to the woman that he wants, if he believes he should yell at that woman, he's never going to change. So my job is to help the man see that his behavior is not normal, it's not appropriate, and if he really loves or is concerned for this other person, then he needs to stop doing abusive things. So basically, you need to teach the guy how to think and then how to react differently. Well, love is not necessarily the motive for somebody changing abusive behavior. It's seeing the person as a human being, as an individual who has the same rights as he does. If he doesn't want somebody to treat him the way he treats her, then he should learn that this is wrong. There's various laws throughout the country, local, state, and now federal, I believe, which are meant to protect the woman from domestic abuse. However, since most females do not report abuse, the way these policies can help a woman is reduced. Secondly, the people who are supposed to enforce these very laws don't take this too seriously, because most people who enforce the laws are men, and men take things lightly or interpret things as another abuser will, which is also a man, and therefore he won't take it as seriously. Or they may just say, there's more important crimes and things going on in the city. Also, a lot of people in the legal system blame the woman for staying in the relationship instead of just leaving, because many women do return to a relationship, not because so much she wants to be abused, which is what a lot of people say is the reason she returns, but because it may be economic reasons, it may be that she really loves them, it may be for religious reasons or for the kids. So there are laws to protect the woman, but again, it's limited by who reports it, how serious the responder takes it, and whether or not the guy is going to change temporarily, but then start his abusive behaviors down the road again. Most females who get killed in a domestic violence situation, most of them get killed after the breakup, because the man cannot tolerate anymore that he lost something which belongs to him, possessiveness. Well, unfortunately, most men do not seek help for domestic violence because they are not even aware they are abusers. Most of the stuff which constitutes abuse is accepted norms within a family, no matter what culture you're in. So men has to acknowledge and accept that there is a problem, not blame the woman for the problem, and when he seeks help, it should be from a specialized or somebody who's trained in domestic violence issues. Because if you see somebody for couples therapy or individual therapy, the woman will eventually get blamed. And the therapist may join that assumption and turn to the woman and say, well, what are you doing to make him get upset with you? Or don't you think you could stop that? So in a way, the woman is being double victimized and blamed for the actions.
What do you think about the cultural issue when we talk about domestic violence?
Well, domestic violence is prevalent through all economic statuses, cultural, education. You have judges who are arrested for abusing ladies. You have politicians who are arrested for abusing ladies. Culturally, it goes from Latinos to African Americans to Asians. It doesn't matter. However, there is an acceptance more in the Latino culture because machismo is part of the makeup of our ethnicity. So unfortunately, they confuse machismo with control and abusive behavior towards the woman. In households where there is domestic violence and children living there, the children are affected in many ways. First of all, where there's abuse for the wife, there's usually abuse on the children. It could be because the child's trying to intervene on behalf of the mother and will get injured, or because the father is just abusive across the board. The child may also be affected emotionally, psychologically with the traumas. The males will probably end up being aggressive and statistically will probably abuse their future partners. And the female children will learn that love and abuse comes together. And she may not be aware that there's a difference between love and aggression. So in many cases, a young woman will have a baby to receive the love that she never got, or to give the love she was never able to get, or again, because the male imposed his will on her to not use a condom, to have the baby, or he lied to her and saying, I love you and I'll be with you for the rest of my life. Well, the first question I would ask any couple is, why are we here? And if the issue of domestic violence comes up, I will point out that, again, this problem does not belong to her. It's his problem. However, it does affect her. So one of the first things that any therapist or any specialist in domestic violence is to separate one problem from the other. Meaning, if there's a communication problem, you can address that as couples. But if it's a domestic violence issue, the man should seek his own help for his own problem. And usually the best form of help that a man can get is in a group setting, because he'll be either supported or, let me say the word, challenge his belief system, and together the group will kind of grow and formulate new ways of thinking and behaviors. So it should always be a separate treatment for both. Denial, blaming, lying, which is when the man knows he's being abusive but he just doesn't want to admit it. Minimization, which is when the man plays down what he does. So if he hits her, he may use the word, I only pushed you. I just yelled at you. But, when he uses those three phrases, just, but, and only, he's instantly minimizing what he's done to the lady. Justification is when you really believe you have the right to abuse a woman. Again, this goes a little bit into culture and religion, which is the Bible says I can abuse you, or the Bible says that a woman is inferior, or the culture says that a man is supposed to be the head of the household. Some of the laws in the old days gave permission for a man to actually chastise his wife. So there's a lot of justification going on. And the last one would be rationalization, which is how the man uses his logic and way of thinking to, again, justify or continue the abuse. And one that's kind of separate but not part of the mainstream of defenses would be externalization. Now, all the defenses are externalized because they're outside of the man. But when I use the word externalization specifically, I mean the weather, the train delays, he was hungry, which are all real excuses that I heard from men. So it's something in the environment, so to say, that makes him, supposedly triggers him to be an abuser.